To Ashvita for this wonderful space yet again and for being our hosts. This year is a very special year for INTAC. We've turned 40 years since its inception. Thank you. So INTAC was established in 1984 with a vision to spearhead heritage awareness through our country and to protect the vast, unprotected heritage which is of varied nature right across the nation. Whatever is protected heritage, like, the monuments that we're all aware of, the Brihadishwara Temple, Mamalapuram, Taj, what have you, are all protected by the Archaeological Survey of India. But being a country with such a rich past and varied heritage, there's many monuments, there's much of natural heritage, all of which lies unprotected. And all of us, like you and me, are volunteers, and we work through the 200 odd chapters across the nation to do our bit for protecting and conserving India's wealth of heritage. And we work through different chapters, and in Chennai chapter we've been conducting walks, talks, quizzes and various other initiatives, exhibitions, etc., to bring heritage awareness to the public as well as to take steps towards conserving it for future generations and to leave it for maybe our grandchildren and great-grandchildren. And the concept of heritage is embedded in India's constitution. In Article 51AF of the Constitution of India, it says, "It shall be the duty of every citizen of India to value and preserve the rich heritage of our composite culture." The key word here is composite and reflects the rich and diverse heritage that we have in our country. Today we are here to bring out yet another aspect of our heritage, and it will be about the history of jewellery. Jewellery has always fascinated us across civilizations, be it Rome, Greece, Egypt, Mesopotamia, Iran, and of course India. Even recently, the National Museum in Delhi held an exhibition on the Takshila jewelry. So it's a matter of fascination even today. Initially, one adorned the body with, natural materials available like even stones, even, beads, and then even feathers and the like. And then when minerals and metals were discovered, we've honed our skill in the craft to reach where we have today. And even in India, you have such a variation. You have the filigree works of Orissa, you have the pearls of Andhra, you have the temple jewelry in Tamil Nadu, you have the Kundan work in Rajasthan, and so many other variations. And we look forward to a fascinating journey through this. Welcome, Haresha, and over to you. I'll request Deepa to introduce Haresha formally.
Good evening. So in every stage of our life, the word gems has many different connotations. Now as a child, the colorful gems was a treat to our eyes, which led to the cravings of our taste buds. But as we grow older, we look at the gems in awe. The radiance, the glitter, make us definitely want to possess at least a few. And as we probe further, we understand that there is a lot more to gems than what appeals to our eyes. We know that it is incredibly hard to find. The more limited it is in quantity, the more valuable it becomes. So it is this uniqueness that makes it very precious. Luckily for all of us, there were many brave souls who ventured deep down the earth and oceans to find some of nature's most prized gifts. How did these exotic stones evolve to become something that becomes a perfect gift, either as a meaningful expression of enduring love or self-indulgence? To know about this, we have amongst us today a young, learned gemologist and jeweler. This is Haresha Anand Raaja. She graduated in economics from Stella Maris College, and she went on to follow her passion to learn gemology in the esteemed Gemological Institute of America. All through her growing up years, she watched her mother, Lalita Anand, and learned the art and business of jewelry making. She is here to enlighten us about how our ancestors discovered gems, experimented with many processes, used their phenomenal sense of creativity, craftsmanship, and skill to create dazzling pieces of ornaments. Currently, she and her husband Guru are entrepreneurs in this field, and they have been recognized and appreciated by Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman, the Union Minister of Finance, for their enthusiasm and spirit in taking forward the legacy of India's heritage and pride to the global arena. I now request Haresha to take us through the history of Indian gems and jewelry.
Thank you. Namaskaram. Today I'm here to talk about India's pride, the gems and jewelry that we have grown up seeing, been in awe, wanting to possess, and have flaunted to almost all of the world. And we have been pioneers, we have mastered the art, and today India crafts almost 90% of the world's diamonds. So I will start off my talk with the Indus Valley tradition, where it all began. So mankind is known to have sported ornaments since the prehistoric, the Mesolithic, Neolithic, and the Chalcolithic periods. But with respect to Indian history, we shall start with the Indus tradition. The people of the Indus tradition had highly developed aesthetic sense and extremely sophisticated taste for jewelry, along with their fine craftsmanship and engineering skills. Almost as early as, or probably earlier than 3300 BCE. We were the first set of humans to explore the art of jewelry making. So much so that almost among all of the relics and the artifacts discovered by archaeologists, jewelry was constituted majority of them. Although the quantity was massive, the craftsmanship was quite coarse, but we managed to master it over time. So the ornaments that the Indus Valley people wore was an outwardly symbol of their social status, their gender, their spiritual affiliation, the valor, probably from hunting or procuring the gem itself. They predominantly used gold, silver, bronze, copper, shells, and leaves, seeds, and you name it, we've used it all. By the beginning of the urban phase of the Indus tradition, around 2600 BCE, some of the processes used to manufacture the ornaments were extremely specialized. It is quite surprising given how till today it takes at least about 2 to 3 days to cut and facet and polish a gem. But mankind then, we have no idea what they used, but they managed to create some masterpieces. The evidence that the archaeologists have discovered shows that in the early Harappan times, soft black gray steatite, which is simply known as soapstone, was used to make discs and pendants. While the subsequent periods, they advanced their lapidary skills by making, they began to fire those soft soapstones to make them hard, to increase durability. And beyond that, what we realize is around 2600 BCE, the beads were fired, baked, and glazed in the high temperature kilns to procure different colors, and were even painted on to add more character. So the early Harappan bead makers were experts in the technique of sharpening and perforation of soft stones like steatite, agates, jasper, turquoise, carnelians, and even lapis lazuli. Most of these beads, as you see in the slide, they were perforated by pecking using a special stone drill that they began to invent. And the lapidary advancements resulted in the invention of the constricted cylindrical stone drill, which we can proudly say we were the first in the world to have invented it. So apart from the lapidary advancements, we also began to aesthetically add values to the said beads. There were primitive color enhancement techniques, such as using heat to make it lighter or darker, and they even began to use natural dyes and painted the beads with using natural dyes. Another important milestone for Indus Valley people were the invention of microbeads. Microbeads are extremely tiny. They are as big as probably 3 mm in size. And how they managed to drill this is beyond me. So these beads were essentially softer stones. Those were the only stones that were probably, they were able to procure at that time and mine during that time. In this period, there is no said evidence of precious stones as we know it today. So the set of stones that I had mentioned, the agates, lapis lazuli, turquoise. So early findings in Mehrgarh brought to light that the ornaments found in the burials where women and children were buried. They were buried with the jewelry that they wore on a daily basis. So at the early Harappan periods, whatever relics we were able to unearth, all of them had jewelry that had conch shells and wooden beads and even the metal beads, because by then the Bronze Age had began to come into place. And then beyond that, the later Harappan periods, or even subsequent periods after that, we find that the burials that were unearthed, the number of jewels that they began to find on these men and women, they began to reduce. So I infer that it was probably because the economic value of the jewelry had risen. They did not want to bury, they didn't want to get rid of those jewelry, or the societal advancements resulted in the tradition of inheritance, where they passed on the jewelry, or the children began to take the jewelry of their deceased parents. In Mehrgarh, the burials that were unearthed, we can find shank or conch shell bangles. We can find cornelians. So the shank bangles. So Mehrgarh is, I would say, somewhere in the center of the entire region of the Indus tradition, and the shank bangles were from coastal regions. The carnelians predominantly came from Gujarat, the Kutch region of the Gujarat, which is where, although there were other carnelians available, Kutch had the best quality of carnelians. And even the lapis from Badakhshan, the turquoise from Iran, all of these were easily 1,000 kilometers away from Mehrgarh. So they either procured it as raw materials and crafted it in multiple places, or the trade had begun by them, where they began as much as 1,000 kilometers the artifacts have traveled. So such is the importance that jewelry had in the Indus tradition. So there were other jewelry made of flames, which is powdered ceramic. And they even began to inscribe on the bangles. It started as early as that. And there were also inexplicable art forms made of jewelry. There are some pictures that where we can see chains made of jewelry very close to the Sarade chains that we currently use as well. So, one second. So these are all the carnelians, and these are chalcedonies, they are softer stones, and we don't use it very much anymore. It is used a little bit in the Western world. And these are the disc beads made out of gold and silver, bronze and copper. And these are the cylindrical beads. All of this at least takes, with the advancement of machinery, today it will take at least 2 hours to make this per hand. And it is still beyond me how they managed to do all this. So these were the different shapes that they managed to make. And this is the scale for us to understand the size. So this is the chain I was talking to you about, and it is very close to the Sarada chains of today. And these are the lapis and turquoise bracelets. And this is a hip belt or a girdle made out of carnelians that were worn. So jewelry then did not have it didn't matter whether you were a man or a woman, everybody wore similar jewelry then. And these are the bangles that were made. So this particular necklace has an interesting story to it. So during the partition, around 1920s, there was a discovery of this particular necklace. This is only one half of the necklace. So we uncovered it, and it is known to be the oldest necklace that was found by mankind. So it has gold disc beads, it has carnelians, and it has jaspers, and this portion that you can see in any jewelry that we now have, where the beads come and then there is a gold ball that holds the beads together. So this is a technique that was founded then. And most of these agates are capped with gold, which means they coated the gemstones with gold. It was so valuable that we fought during partition, and we had to split that golden necklace. One half of it lies in Pakistan in the Mohenjo-daro Museum. We managed to get one half at least. It is currently in the National Museum in Delhi. So this is a picture of what we have in India. popular dancing girls sculpture, bronze sculpture. It is said that they made it using the lost wax casting method, which we still use. And if you see, she is wearing 24 to 25 bangles on her left arm and 4 to 5 on her right arm. Significance, or it could be because to establish a status, or there were also findings that women who did laborious work wore more bangles, and those bangles were thicker than those that didn't. So this is how the jewelry was worn and celebrated and they were during the Indus Valley tradition. Next. We shall now come to all of our favorite topic, the legendary diamonds. So the legendary diamonds came from India. We were the world's only source of diamonds for almost 1,500 years. We uncovered diamonds. We realized they were precious. We figured how we could market them, how we could export them, how we could cut them, that we could use them in jewelry. And this also brought us unwanted attention from the Mughals, from everybody who wanted to get their hands on these precious pieces. So the legendary diamonds from India, coming to talk about the Golconda diamonds that are very, very popular till date. They were, so for until 1720s, there were no other sources of diamonds in the world. In 1720, we figured that Brazil also had a mine. And then 1 century later, we discovered the mines in South Africa. Most of the world's most famous and celebrated diamonds comes from the Golconda mining area. The size of diamonds from this region were humongous, and only humongous. There were no small stones available. And the quality was paramount. It is estimated that the Indian mines produced at least over 12 million carats of diamonds over more than 2,000 years. So Golconda is essentially modern day Hyderabad. And it was a center for trading diamonds. It's very important to know that the Golconda mine as such, there is no mine called Golconda. It is only the trading center. It was established by the Nizams and it got its name from the Golconda fort in Hyderabad. And it is said to be the oldest and the only mine around that time, but that is actually not true. So the Golconda region as such falls between the mining area that is allegedly was there, is said to fall between the city and the sea, in between the Krishna and the Godavari river. But we come to know that there is only one mine existent in that area, which is the Kollur mine. So the mine as such actually is supposed to be called Kollur. And that the Kollur mine also was not the oldest mine. In Kautilya's Arthashastra from the 2nd century BCE refers to diamonds found in Kosala, which is eastern Odisha. The mines in Kosala used to be where the Hirakud Dam currently is. And it was the first known mine in the world. So the diamonds were obtained from the alluvial deposits of Mahanadi River. So there are several types of mining diamonds, which is the primary, secondary and the tertiary. The primary sources are open pit mining. The secondary is where you find from the alluvial deposits from the river banks or within the river beds. And India, apart from the Panna mine in Madhya Pradesh, all of the other mines we had were alluvial deposits, wherein I could just walk, go on a happy stroll, go on a picnic and just grab a 700 carat worth diamond. And that is how exciting it would have been for people then. So the diamonds mined from the Odisha region were traded and exported all the way to Rome. This was before the discovery of the Golconda mines itself. From the 12th century onwards, these diamonds were eclipsed by the ones found in the bed of river Krishna majorly, and some from the river Godavari. The other mine, like I said, the Panna mine is near Madhya Pradesh, the Bundelkhand plateau. It is said that the exact location of the Golconda mines or even the Kollur mines were kept a secret, and the Indians then, or even the Nizams, were extremely careful as to ensure that nobody came to know as where we were mining. There is even a fun fable that comes in the 1001 Nights, where the story goes, the mine was actually inside a cave. This is not true, it's a fable, but it was inside a cave, and merchants and gemologists would throw, and this cave was filled with large snakes, and people would throw meat and send eagles after them. So the eagles would pick up the meat, and on the meat would stick these huge rocks, and that is how they mined them. So they ensured they spun such stories so people wouldn't go after the mine. So the location of the entire mining region would be present day Kadapa, Anantapur, Bellary, Kurnool, Kollur, Eluru and Nandyal. So this region produced type 2A diamonds. So to give you a rough idea of what the diamonds comprises of is, all diamonds are made of carbon atoms. So type 1A has most diamonds have other impurities. So these the trace elements that are present within the lattice defects of the carbon atoms, they could be nitrogen or boron. Sometimes you would even find a ruby sitting within a diamond. So these nitrogen atoms and boron atoms, they bring about imperfections which is known as the lattice or the optical defects, which kind of hinder the flawlessness of the diamonds. It could be impurities, it could be doshas as we know it, it could be color, or it could be any of the anything that I had mentioned. But the type 2A diamonds that were found in the Golconda mining time had pure carbon, which means the D color, the flawless, the absolutely expensive diamonds that we see today, but in carats that were as much as 700, as much as, that was, 700 was literally nothing, 700 carats of diamonds, of a single piece of diamond. So that is why the Golconda diamonds were extremely popular. And I mean, no doubt, I would have wanted one too, right, if you were in the region. No wonder wars were waged. No wonder everybody came in pursuit of these riches. So these diamonds are usually colorless, but sometimes they can also be a light gray, light brown and a light yellow. Not only were we the largest producer of naturally formed diamonds, we also pioneered in beautifying it over time. Next slide. So this is a Mughal cut. This is the oldest sketch of a diamond. Initially came the point cut. So diamonds form in octahedrons, and the first known beautification or cutting or polishing of a diamond was known to be the point cut. The point cut, it is a misnomer. It was actually not cut. In the mid 14th century, what gemologists and lapidary artists did was they simply began to polish the diamond, and they did not know how to set it properly in jewelry, so they simply turned it where the point, the culet as we know it today, where if you see a diamond it forms a point, that was face up. So it came to be known as the point cut, and we were the first ones to make it. We were simply polishing it. And then this is the Mughal cut that I mentioned. So this is a hand sketch drawing by the French traveler Jean-Baptiste Tavernier. He managed to come to India twice just for these riches. In 1650s, this diamond belonging to the Emperor Emir Jemla, it was a whopping 787 carats allegedly. So this diamond, what they have done is they have simply polished all of these facets, and this hand drawing looks beyond perfect, but I doubt the work was this perfect by then. It is known that the great Mughal, as this stone is called, was cut by the Venetian lapidary Borges as ordered by the emperor, but he was beheaded because there was so many inclusions that he wanted a perfect stone. He kept sawing it and sawing it and sawing it and reduced it to 280 carats. 500 carats lost his head also. So the Tavernier also took back with him the Hope diamond as we know it, seen in the Titanic movie and all of that. It was originally known to be the French blue. He procured it from India and took it back to Rome, where it was over time cut in half, and the Hope diamond that we know today is the bigger half. We don't know where the other half is till date. It is said that this large piece of diamond, nobody knows where it is today. It is said that this could be the Kohinoor, given that the shape kind of matches. The Kohinoor, all of the diamonds currently popular were reworked on once they left our country. Although we were great and we were pioneers at sawing and cleaving the diamonds, the Europeans had an added advantage over facetting the diamonds or bringing out the brilliance of it better. So this is said to be, it could be the Kohinoor. It could be even the Orlov diamond. So the Orlov diamond is said to be in the Russian scepter. And there is a tale that the Orlov diamond was once placed on the deity's eye of the Sri Rangam temple, and a French traveler broke in, stole it, and we just lost it. We couldn't find it anymore. So both the Kohinoor and the Orlov diamond kind of resembles this. There was another bracelet of India, which was a colorless diamond, which is almost 90.38 carats, which was also a D color type 2A diamond. In the 12th century, it was acquired by the Queen Consort of King Louis VII of France, and that is known to be the oldest diamond celebrated that left our country. So bracelets are bead shaped. If you like today, it is they make diamond beads, and it was made as early as 12th century, not cut in India, but the rough was obtained from India, which came about after the point cut, which is known as the Polki cut today. The Polki stones were also a pioneer, a result of our hard work. So the next comes the carat, the 4 C's of the diamonds. I've covered the color, clarity, cut, and how we contributed to the advancements of the diamonds. The carat as we know it today, so this is the point cut, I'm sorry I didn't mention earlier. The carat as we know it today also originated, so India was the first country to trade in diamonds, so we had to have a way of measuring the weight of the diamonds. So they were measured using the rati or the manjari seeds. So each of the seed is about 7/8 of a carat. So it was an approximate calculation. And so the name carat comes from the French or an Italian. So the French and the Italians used the seeds of the carob tree. The measure of the carob seeds in Arabic was kirat. And that is how the word carat came about. So these are the very popular diamonds, all of it from our country. Some of it cut, some of it were downsized, some of it were made into different objects before it was set in jewelry. Some of it auctioned. This is what we can relate to. It was gifted, this is known as the Arcot II. It was gifted by the Nawab of Arcot to the Queen, among one other diamond. There was Arcot number 1 and number 2. This is the Mirror of Paradise. Guess who bought it off the Christie's auction recently? Nita Ambani. She was seen wearing it. It is supposed to have costed $39 million, allegedly. We're not sure how much she bought it for, but she was seen wearing it at one of the wedding events. I'm glad she brought it back. At least one came back to us. I shall now talk about the gemstones. This is a very vast topic. There is Vedic mentions, there is Vedic astrology. I shall not get into the depths of it. I shall mention what little bit of gems from the period. So the Vedic period, that was 1500 to 600 BCE. The standard terms that we used were ratnas or money. Money majorly meant beads or what could be studded in jewelry. Ratna majorly meant all the jewelry as a comprehensive term. The ornaments that we made using the gems came about later. But firstly, let us look at how the Arthashastra talks about these gems. So the Arthashastra divides the gems into 6 classes, not categories but classes, wherein the Kosa Adhyaksha is entitled to admit these gems into the royal treasury. So Kosa Adhyaksha is the superintendent of treasury. So this is the hierarchy that that was mentioned in the Arthashastra. It is surprising. The first one is pearls or mukta as they call it. Then came gemstones or monies. By this time, the discovery of what we now know as the precious gems had already come in place. So then what was used in the periods preceding this became the inferior jewels or the antarjati. There were jewels made of glass, which is kachamani, diamonds, vajra, and corals, pravala. It is surprising that the diamonds take the 5th place, which means it was not a priority to bring in diamonds into the treasury, which I think could be because pearls at that point of time people would need to probably swim into the depths of the ocean to procure pearls, and the gemstones they hadn't come up with a manual to rate the gemstones or figure out the quality. So this preceded the diamonds, the inferior quality of jewels, which was probably because they were used to their ancestors wearing all of those gems and jewelry. Glass jewels probably because it was very difficult to make it at that point. But diamonds take the 5th place probably because they were everywhere. It was so common that they probably had amassed quite a lot of diamonds already, and corals took the 6th place. So I will. Sorry. Yes, the perceived value may not be the economic value as such. It could be the perceived value. Yes, because it is going into the treasury. They would probably not end up trading it. It was for their own use. So, yeah. So, I will now talk about rubies. Rubies, as we know, comes from a species of minerals called corundum. Rubies are mentioned in Sanskrit scriptures as Kuruvinda or Kurundam in Tamil. It is named after the Kurunada state. The Mahabharata mentions the Kurunada state, which today is identified to be geographically placed between the Konkan coast, the Mysore region, Kerala and Tamil Nadu, which can undoubtedly be identified as what we now know as Kongu Nadu. So the rubies initially were found right here in Kongu Nadu belt. Districts of Erode, Coimbatore and Tirupur is what comprises of majorly of the Kongu Nadu belt. There is no doubt that it is going to be this belt because this region still yields corundum. It is scattered in the soil or is constituted in the sientic rocks. The excavations in the Kodumanal area in Erode have yielded beryls and quartz and is datable up to like 4th to 3rd century BCE. Padiyur has beryls. Sivan Malai and Perumal Malai has sapphires. Vengan Malai, Vengan could mean quartz. And Arasampalayam has quartz. All of these towns are within 15 kilometers radius from the Kodumanal site. And these are not, these regions still yield and the gems are still being mined from these regions. Next slide. Beryl as we know it, where the emeralds species, it used to be called Velurium in Tamil. And it was known that the Kodumanal region used to lie on the ancient highway called Konka o Peruvali that connected the Kaveri Delta to Kerala, where the port of the Musiri paved way for exports. The beryls are currently found in Melkote, Katteri, Linganakoppa, Ragi Muddanahalli, Yediyuru. Yediyuru is a suburb of Bangalore. So this region is where beryls come from. And it is found that we used to trade diamonds for these, some of these gemstones that were found, the superior quality of which was found in other countries like Sri Lanka or Burma or Myanmar. As Indians began to travel, we figured that they had superior stones. So we began to trade our precious diamonds for these stones. The Karur and the Kangayam region of South India are famous for their gemstones, and till date we can find sapphires, moonstones, iolites. This is an iolite, aquamarines, garnets, and even the star sapphire rubies. Apart from the diamonds that were taken from our country, there were also other gems, the most popular of which is the Taimur ruby, which was mined in the 14th century. So the Taimur ruby is actually not a ruby. It currently belongs to the Queen of England's treasury. It was a spinel that we mistook to be a ruby, and it till date has inscriptions of all of the Mughal emperors that owned it. So these are the organic gems that is very, very specific to our cultural heritage. This you see is the nail of a tiger. It is called a puligoru or a pulinagam. It is very prestigious to be owning one, and there were it is probably in most ancient households one would have it, probably hunted by their ancestors. This is a rudraksha that we still appreciate and wear. These are beads made of ivory that are now banned, but they were made into jewelry. Then corals, pearls. It is important to know that pearls and corals, one of the best qualities of pearls and corals came from the Gulf of Mannar, which lays near the Pak Strait between India and Sri Lanka. I think they have stopped cultivation of pearls there. Mining of pearls there. And this is the elephant hair. Some of these organic gems, as we call it, are more predominantly used in southern states, and the Westerners are very surprised when we say we use puligoru and we use elephant hair on our jewelry, because that's something they wouldn't have heard of till date. So I will talk about the jewels of the royals. Apart from our gems and what we mine from earth, the jewelry, the craftsmanship of our jewelry also gained popularity. This particular jewel that you see is one of the pair of earrings. It's currently in the New York's Metropolitan Museum. This was made as early as the 1st century BC, and between the 1st century BC and the 1st century AD. It was made by the Satavahana rulers of the of current day Andhra. It's 3 inches wide and 1.5 inches long. So these earrings reflect a maximalist design vision. This is something that if I see in a boutique today, I would want it. How would one have imagined mankind as early as the 1st century BCE or AD to have made this? It could be ear extenders, parties wear the long ones. It could be that. So this one has granulated gold, and it is made of gold sheath and wire. It has floral patterns, and here there is an elephant on one side and the other side has a winged lion. All of these are reputed symbols of royalty. There are paintings of Satavahana women wearing similar earrings as well. I have a part of my presentation that I will show you later. So this is the Star of the South. It was owned by the Maharani Sita Devi. You can see the size of diamonds here. Yeah. This is Shah Jahan's Kalgi or Sarpech, as we know it. Sarpecha turban jewels. It was made in the 1875. These spinels, like how I spoke to you about the Timur ruby or slash spinel, they are also inscribed with all of the Mughal emperors' names, that whoever owned it. This is made using the Pachikam technique. Only the top portion where you see the diamonds, that is made using the Pachikam technique, where the register of diamonds that hang as beads, they have adapted the Western method of craftsmanship of hanging these beads here. So these are diamonds, rubies and spinels. This was recently auctioned, and guess who brought it? She wore it on a black sari as a bajuband. Very recently, it made it to page 3. Yeah. Next slide. So this is the Patiala necklace. It was commissioned by Maharaja Bhupinder Singh. It's interesting to know that the treasuries of these kings they had amassed so much diamonds and gems, but they would have probably seen the people of the other countries wear spectacular looking jewels. All of these gemstones were handed over to Cartier, and this jewelry was commissioned to be made by Cartier, but it was lost. It was commissioned by Maharaja Bhupinder Singh, and it has 2,930 diamonds. It was over 1,000 carats. And this one here, this yellow diamond here, was 234 carats yellow diamond. It was sold by De Beers to him, this one diamond alone. It went missing in 1948. They found it went missing not from India, but it left India and then it went missing. It was found in a locker in a bus station with this particular diamond missing. And after ages, that diamond it would have come up in the markets for sale, and they found the rest of it with no diamonds in it, just the mount. And De Beers made sure they bought it again, and they made a replica using the mount. So they have a replica of this currently in the world. This is a girdle or a waist belt. Most of us can recognize this work. It is very southern. It is South India's pride. This is by Maharaja Chamarajendra Wadiyar of Mysore. Chamarajendra Wadiyar of Mysore. It was gifted to Queen Alexandria in 1875. And all of these are diamonds, rubies, emeralds. And the mechanism of this is quite advanced for even that time period. This is the diadem made in Kashmir. So these have kinaris. Kinaris are half bird, half female creatures, probably from the mythology. Kinaris are found in the Avantipura temple in Kashmir, so it could have been made in Kashmir. This is also currently in the New York's Met Museum. So I'll talk about the craftsmanship that were exclusively and predominantly used from the ancient times and how they evolved. Jadao is very, very celebrated till date, and it is a very, very intricate and an interesting way of crafting jewelry. So Jadao hallmarks India's heritage very closely, and Jadao, let me tell you, there is a misconception about this. There is Polki, Kundan and Jadao. All of these are very confusing, and they refer to the same kind of jewelry making technique. So Jadao is actually the technique of making it. It derived its name from jad, which means simply to embed, while polki is the stone, and kundan is the gold foil used to gold foil on which the stones are placed. And now kundan is kind of used to refer the glass which is replaced the polki stones for semi-precious jewelry. So jadao, they use 24 karat gold foiling as a base, and it holds the stones, and the stones they adhere to the gold foil without any adhesive. So these exquisite pieces that exude opulence belong to the Rajasthani and the Rajput era. So this is meenakari. This is simply enameling of jewelry. So they are engraved, and there are grooves in which the enamel is filled in. So if you see, most likely you will find meenakari behind the jadao pieces. This is tewa. It originated in the Rajput era. It was from the Pratapgarh town of Rajasthan. The special art of jewelry making involves fusing intricately worked out sheet of gold onto molten glass. This molten glass that you see forms the base, and over that is then intricately worked on. They're all handmade. The etchings are all handmade, and they're placed over this dyed base made of glass. Next. This is our close setting. It is Tamil Nadu's pride. So close setting is very common now. This is Tarakashi, which is essentially filigree work. This is a dyeing art, just like Teva is. Tarakashi it comes from Odisha, where they draw really fine wires of silver, and they make intricate pieces like this. They make bags, they make brooches, they make multiple objects using this technique. This is the nakas or reposage. So nakas gets its names from nakshi, which in Hindi means carving. So how this is made is, there is a fine sheet of gold taken, and over which the craftsman draws hand sketches. It could be a deity, it could be multiple motifs, and then this hand drawn pieces, he figures out where it has to be embossed and hammers it from behind. So that is how it is also known as reposage, which there is similar works in the Western world as well. And the pieces could be filled in with lacquer from behind or not. There could be also hollow nakshi work done. So we began to wear ornaments. Some of us wear it to flaunt them, to beautify ourselves. Some of us wear it to simply because our mothers are like, you dress too simply. There is multiple reasons as to why one would wear jewelry. But it is said that wearing jewelry benefits us and our body in multiple ways. So gold occupies paramount position in our culture. It symbolizes purity, prosperity and divinity. But apart from that, Ayurveda claims that it balances the Pitta dosha and it also regulates body temperature and improves blood circulation. Silver, on the other hand, is associated with cooling the body and nurturing energies of the moon. If you notice in our culture and traditions, gold is worn waist up and silver is always worn waist down. Silver also has antimicrobial properties. And now I'll talk about various jewelry and how each jewelry has its benefits. So all of these earrings, the piercings that you make for earrings, the multiple piercings, it boosts brain development, it increases eyesight and hearing, it prevents anxiety, and it's supposed to improve the digestive system. Anklets, on the other hand, revibrate the energy to the body, and we see that predominantly we wear silver anklets because it is said that it could relieve pain of the legs and even pain of cracked heels. Rings, on the other hand, the ring finger has a nerve that goes to the heart. So all of these jewelry, they create friction and they help the nerves and the blood circulation. The thumb, when you wear a ring on the thumb, it is supposed to increase the pleasure hormones. And the small finger and the middle finger is where one is advised not to wear the jewelry because the nerves that extend from these fingers affect decision making because the nerve directly goes to a part of the brain that you use for decision making. Bangles, on the other hand, they're right around where we can feel the pulse. So it creates constant friction, increases blood circulation, it maintains energy levels. And we see that for a lot of Seemantam and all that, at the 7th month, pregnant women, it's a tradition where you put on bangles. It's known that the fetus begins to crave acoustic stimuli at that phase. So that's why these bangles help, and they calm the baby and they also ensure the baby can begin developing its hearing abilities. Apart from this, there is the nut or the nose pin, which on the left nostril, if you have pierced, it could help in controlling emotions and also helps in reproductive health. I wanted to really talk about this particular lost jewelry of Tamil Nadu. I come from Rajapalayam. I have seen a lot of parties sporting this, and I have been fascinated by these pieces of jewelry and how they extend the wearer's ear up to so much. So these pieces of jewelry are called tandatis or pampadams. They're almost extinct. Nobody now wants to wear it. It is interesting how this came about. So once the girl attains puberty, from the 5th day onwards, they have people coming to pierce. I mean, I'm sure they have a piercing, but the piercing is cut slowly, very, very slowly. Apparently, the person that comes to do that comes in every single day for a few days until you can actually stuff something into the hole. So that's how it begins. They put in the cotton wicks, they use corn husks, and they also use what they call kunukus, which is essentially hoops that are heavy. So they slowly increase the weight of the earrings that they wear and massage it and keep extending it or playing with it until it reaches a certain length. So a woman is said to, she should be able to sport this earring by the time she gets married. Yeah, imagine wearing this for your wedding pictures. So these are tandatis or pampadams. Tandatis are what they are, tandatis are the general name of it. Pampadam is what refers to a particular style of the tandati itself. So they come in, tandatis come in geometric shapes with interlocking squares and rectangles. Whereas if it is shaped like a snake's hood, it's called the pampadam or the nagavadam. Multiple rings, like for example how this party is wearing, she's wearing multiple pieces. When you wear multiple pieces like this, it's called chaudi. They also wear pudi, koppu, this is koppu, and onnappa tattu, this is onnappa tattu. So this is how interesting Tamil culture is, of how each piece of jewelry has its own name and its story to tell. So tandatis as such are a display of wealth, or it could even be a way of giving dowry for the girl when it comes to marriage. So you had asked me how that the Satavahana earrings hang. This is how it will hang. This is how they would wear it.
And it would it be horizontal or would it
Vertical. Yeah. This is not solid gold. It looks really heavy, but it's not solid gold. It is made of lac, and these are sheets of gold that are plastered over it. In some communities, women were fined if they weren't able to wear it. Yeah. The precise origin of this pyramidal form is not known, but the inspiration may be drawn from the elaborate and tall entrances of gopurams or even the yantras. So this large ball, this would be the screw. It is removable, you can screw it open, this one. So next slide. So this practice has been from the Cholas periods, and these are depictions of how the Chola kings and queens and even common women of that era used to wear these large earrings, and they were ear extenders. And when the Cholas conquered other regions of East Asia, it is found that even some tribes of Indonesia and Thailand also have these practices. This particular statue, if you see, has a proper round ear extender. You can still find some people of the Western world wearing it. Sorry? Yeah. Yeah, so this is the history of the tandatis and pampadams which are dying. But a fun fact that I read yesterday, if you could still pull your ears as hard as you can, you should try it now. You will feel a tug in the nerves of your eyes and your navel. It is said the ear extenders are supposed to be working on your reproductive health and also your focus. In India? Sorry. No, the tandatis and pampadams are pertaining to a particular community within Tamil Nadu itself. But these pictures, there are also several Pandya kings, and also, like we saw, the Satavahana earrings of Andhra. So it could be that at a certain point, it was only the royalty that were used to this, and then it began to pass on to other classes of people as well. But we see that it is only in these two states of India, Andhra and Tamil Nadu. I'd like to talk about another dyeing art, which is the Vadaseri way of making temple jewelry. It recently acquired the GI tag. GI is the geographical indication. So this particular art form is found and it is honed and mastered in that town near Nagarkoil called Vadaseri. A craftsman would first take the metal. It could be the jewelry was originally made in gold and silver, set with precious stones. The craftsman would initially take the metal found in ball form and then melt it and make a rod out of it and then draw wires out of it, flatten those wires, cut them in pieces, solder it with reference to the hand drawing he has originally made. And if it was a earring, he would put in the stem of the earring. He would then melt wax or arakku as we know it, fill it within this particular mount. Next slide. And then began to set gems onto it. Initially there were rubies, then came spinels. They now use kempu, which is glass stones. Kempu means red in Andhra and Karnataka, but they are predominantly used to refer glass stones which are flat backed and then they are convex on one side. Once the stones are set, he would take out these gold foils, cut them in pieces, place them in gaps between the stones, seal them together, and then your earrings are ready. So these are the original, using the precious metals. This is how they were made. Currently, because it's a dying art and due to advancements and corporate jewelers making such jewelry, they have nearly lost their livelihood. There's only as much as 52 families and 300 craftsmen in the entire town that are making it, and they have resorted to using their skill to make jewelry which is like costume jewelry for Bharatanatyam dancers as we see it. Yeah. So this is the pride of India as we know it. I humbly request you to please keep patronizing our arts and only buy handmade jewelry as much as possible. Thank you so much for being a lovely audience.
It's a lovely evening. Another round of applause for someone as young as her. How she managed to garner all that knowledge into the few years that she has is more than I can figure. Any questions, anyone?
Any connection between astrology and gems?
There definitely is, ma'am. So,
is there any bad influence on gems, like to vibrate and then to protect the aura like that?
Like something they say diamond you cannot wear, now you cannot.
the doshas. I will talk about that. So, no. So basically, the Vedic astrology says that each gem is associated with one planet. So their chemical, their physical, and their the properties that they innately have is said to nurture their respective planets' powers if worn by a certain person. But what I understand, I must say that I have very limited knowledge on this topic. Vedic astrology is a vast subject and I have not studied it, but I have very little knowledge on it. And as far as I understand, for my own personal use as well, there are periods in which you can or cannot wear a certain stone, and there is no existing scientific proof that the planetary movements have the gemstones would help with the planetary movements. There is no existing scientific proof, but it is believed for years together. And even till date, there are people that consult with astrologists and they try to wear it in times to like better your health, better your economic status, get out of trouble, and all of that. Although there is no scientific proof, it could be that mankind was advised to wear certain gems because of their chemical and physical properties. I have read and studied that their chemical and physical properties, when it touches your skin, there is quite a bit of benefits that you can attain from that. Yeah, so I'm going to leave it at that.
I have a question for you. In all that you've studied in the history, when did men stop wearing jewelry?
I don't think men have stopped wearing jewelry.
No, okay.
I just think we take out all of the money so they don't have any left to buy their own.
No, but obviously it was a fashion trend at some point and then it stopped, because you see kings and queens of yore,
Yes.
I mean the Nawabs and all.
I think it could have been caused by the Western influence, because we see that the Westerners don't really wear, the men especially. And all of India's jewels, there is no minimalism at all. Everything is flamboyant. And it could be that after the invasion of the British and how we switched from dhotis to pants and how, all of that, there was a decorum that was brought in place, there was dress code, there was a whole bunch of things that we began to follow once, even after the British left. So it could be from that influence that men stopped wearing jewelry, which continues till date. Yes.
Okay, we'll tell Mukesh Ambani to wear a surplice soon, then we'll all be back.
There's a slide which you didn't show a picture of a bird looking very nice.
Oh, that's the second slide. Sorry? Oh yeah. Yes. So this is a beautiful bird. It has meenakari work. It has rupees, and these are emeralds. How daintily they have managed to make this piece. It is, I'm not sure from which from which influence of which, whether it was the Maharajas or the Mughals. But this is a piece that really caught my eye that I wanted to put in the slide. And the beak also has an emerald, if you can see. Right. So this is elaborately made with properly sized and placed rubies also. Yeah. The last slide is a pen case and an ink case for the ink. Last slide, please. Yeah. This was for the pen, and that's for the ink, to hold the ink. So we bejeweled everything we can find. Didn't leave anything.
So
Yeah,
there is this one reference to Sita handing over a piece of jewelry.
Yes. Yes.
Was that detailed in
The nature of the jewelry itself, I'm sorry, I'm not very sure. I have not.
Chudamani.
Chudamani, yes. I am not sure, but it is said to be the ring she was wearing, and sorry, hair ornament. Sorry, yeah, Chudamani, yeah, she.
So I have one question about something that Viral Modi said.
Yes.
That when he dealt with the clients who had no clue about
Yes.
and all that, but he actually sold fake diamonds, and he laughed at then they come over it.
Okay.
So, and he actually said there's no way they can
Identify.
whether it was or not, because he couldn't himself. So is that the case? Or?
See, that could be, so if it is imitations, if it is like cubic zirconia, if it is any other imitation, one could tell, even if you leave the shop, and then over time you can get to see, but that's not the case with the lab-grown diamonds that we see today. So he could have, I'm not sure what he did, but I'm not sure who bought from him also, that kind of really is the case of lab-grown diamonds. We see that there are these huge jewelers that may not really make the jewelry in-house, but they kind of procure it from somewhere and they trade in jewelry. Most corporate jewelers that you see, they still have a fear that so there is no way man can really find out whether it's a real diamond or a lab-grown diamond with naked eyes, or even without the help of machines. So if one has not invested in these machines yet, there easily can be several ways in which jewelers can be cheated themselves. You could easily like slip in a few carats of lab-growns and no one can find it. So that could have been what Nirav Modi did, but we're not sure, among the many other things.
Nalini, you had a question?
Just to reiterate what you said earlier, that, I think people should invest and encourage handwork.
Yes.
Because that is something that's definitely dying.
Yes.
And I'm a small-time religious.
I'm a big fan, I follow you. Lovely work you do, yeah.
It's just that very sad stories that I've experienced. I had a fantastic diamond setter, South Indian.
Yes.
And after COVID, I had lost touch with him. And I was driving in by Tinagar.
Okay.
And I found him as a watchman.
Oh.
So, and he hid from me, he ran away, and I somehow got him and said, what happened? He said, no, I'm not happening.
Yeah.
There's no money.
Yes, because there is several advancements that handmade jewelry as such, even like the clothes setting, there are several advancements. You can simply cast it and get it done.
So that is cheaper option.
Yes.
We can afford jewelry.
Yes.
And I think just as we are spending so much money in fabrics and
True.
saris and bringing that old piece.
But Nandini, the story is the same with fabrics also. No one's buying the Madurai Shungri. I'm not saying that lessens what you say. I'm just saying it's a kind of, it's an overall, yeah. I mean, if you can buy printed Shungri at 650 rupees from Rangachari, why would you spend that much more? There is always that. You can argue both sides of it. You're losing an art. I totally agree with what you're saying. But unless it is affordable, it's never going to be revived.
Yeah, again,
That much you have to be practical about these things also. So you can turn it into something. I've always felt what we can do is turn it into something that the government supports and supports these people to earn a livelihood out of this in some way. I mean, I don't know if I can work out the details, but if we can do that, because the layman, even if I have to choose between a 13,000 rupee, Shungri, which is the original, and a 650 or 700 or 1,000 in Rangachari, I will think twice, because it's going to serve the same purpose. And yes, there you can tell it apart, unlike this. There the Shungri from Rangachari is a Shungri from Rangachari. There's no two ways about it. Unlike jewelry, which you sometimes can't even tell apart, the fake from the real. So that's the way the cookie crumbles.
Producer demand become more price will come from.
Sorry?
Demand of producer become more price will come from.
How will the demand go up and how will the raw material become less expensive? I don't know. I'm not an economist. I'm not getting into that. Yeah, Gopu. Yeah.
Are there any pictures of tools or detailed instruments that are used to cut and carve?
There actually are. There are some pictures, but it is quite controversial because we cannot tell whether they were used exactly to make jewelry or whether they were used to make sculptures, because it was
All
you know,
kept
when it
together.
was uncovered. So for example, even that necklace that I was talking to you about that was split in half, it was found inside a silver vessel along with several other things, broken beads and everything. So they presume that that particular building or a space was, it could have been a jewelry store itself, because the amount of things, broken beads that they uncovered along with this piece, it was very surprising. So there are pictures, but I'm yet to read up on that. I must say thank you for this opportunity. I got to learn so much, and it is definitely sparked my, you know, my desire to learn about history, because we don't go back to such things, and this is definitely matter of pride. There is, I mean, we struggle till date. I'm sure Mrs. Nalini would agree how difficult it is to imagine a piece of jewelry, get it sketched, make the karigar understand, get it finished according to how you want it, and how they managed to do it with limited resources was extremely eye-opening to me. Yeah.
I know, I've seen those microbeads in the museum.
Yes.
They leave a little magnifying glass next to it so that you really can see it. It's
And they're
really
faceted also, not just brilliant.
Yeah, they're faceted when you see that through the thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, if there are no more questions, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you very much, Haresha. It's been a fascinating evening. And okay, the initial style isn't here. It was a sparkling evening. No one can deny that. And on behalf of Intact, Sujata will now present a small thank you to Haresha. All the very best. God bless you. A big thank you to Ashvita for the use of this space. It's so perfect. It's such a perfect setting for a talk like this. Thank you, Ashvita, and thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for coming, and good night. Have a great night.